So, a couple months ago, maybe less than that, I did an audio video where I talked about basically something that Ian Flynn had teased during his run with the Archie book, especially during the post 252 soft reboot retcon kind of deal, story arc, if you will. And that was the fact that they heavily, very heavily teased an LGBTQ lesbian relationship between Nicole and Sally. Now, keep in mind, for those of you that might be new to this, Nicole originally was an AI, a portable computer who evolved into something more during the final days, final months, if you will, of the Penders Bowlers run, and became more of a character during the Ian Flynn run, I should say, despite how you feel about him. And it was throughout her, I guess you could say, anthropomorphic appearance that she took on a life of her own, not just in the comics, but with the fans, because the fans would draw her up not just as she was seen in the comics, but they would draw her up in different outfits, and you could tell that some of the artists on the book officially took inspiration from some of those designs and incorporated them into the book for Nicole. The other thing that they would do with Nicole as well is they would pair her up romantically with other characters. Mostly they would pair her up, believe it or not, with Tails. Yeah, they would pair her up with Tails for some odd reason. I think maybe because of the chemistry that they had working together in the book, that they decided, as fans, hey, she would be a good companion for Tails, And I think the other reason they felt that way is because of the fact that, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, she was originally an AI, so she has no real age limit. Like, she's not too old, she's not too young, like, she's just perfect for someone like Tails to be with. And I guess the other reason is because Sonic, being, Tails' big brother, his BFF, if you will, he had Sally, and Sally had Sonic, so I guess it only made sense that Tails, being Sonic's BFF, would get into a relationship with one of Sally's BFFs in Nicole. And again, I think the reason being is because a lot of people saw the fact that, hey, she's an anthropomorphic lynx, that's an AI that can make herself as real as flesh and blood if she wanted to, and she's ageless. She has no age whatsoever, so she's perfect. But anyway, when we got into the soft retcon and reboot, that kind of went away. It was teased a little bit, if you will, but it went away in favor of a heavily implied LGBTQ relationship between Sally and Nicole. Even Ian Flynn has gone on record in saying that he and Aaliyah, who was also working on the book at the time, can't believe how they blatantly got away with it. Like, it was so obvious in everybody's eyes that these two had a thing for each other, that a lot of folks didn't catch on to it until people pointed it out to them, other fans pointed it out to them. But yeah, Ian Flynn basically, like I said, he admitted the fact that it was so blatantly there, and that he's surprised he and Aaliyah got away with it. And Aaliyah, according to numerous sources, was the one that took over writing duties for the female characters, or at least co-writing duties when it came to the female characters in the stories, because apparently of what Ian did with Sally and the whole Mecha Sally situation. Now, the reason I bring this all up is because it looks like Ian Flynn is giving us another LGBTQ relationship, this time in the IDW book. And this is a relationship that's been going on basically since around 2018 and 19. And it's between two very popular characters. Two characters that I look at as essentially being the Sally and Bunny of the group. And, with a few similarities like in design and, weaponry and, just the way the characters are presented at times. And that, of course, is Tangle the lemur and Whisper the wolf. And the reason I bring up the fact that it seems like Ian Flynn is hinting at this, or heavily hinting and implying that this is something that's going to happen very soon, even though this friendship has been something that's been going on for, like I said, since their introduction into the IDW book, is because there's just so many moments in the book throughout its run. There's so many moments throughout its near, I wouldn't say near, but over its 30 issue history run, that indicate that there is something more between Whisper and Tangle. And honestly, I can't deny that myself. I mean, the fans see it, obviously, with all the fan art they put out there and everything. And Ian Flynn, as far as I know, hasn't come out and denied it or anything, or Evan Stanley, who also writes for the book, hasn't come out and denied it or anything. So it seems obvious that there's just too much evidence, I should say, to support the fact that this is something that's in the works. But the only question, obviously, when it comes to Tangle and Whisper, and this being heavily implied, is when will they pull the trigger? When you look at it from this standpoint, this book has only been around for 30 plus issues, right? It's still relatively young. So you have to wonder that within the next couple of issues, despite what you believe about sales and everything online and, retail wise and whatever situation IDW finds itself in, you have to ask yourself, when will they pull the trigger on this? When will Ian Flynn or Evan Stanley, if not both, or somebody new, pull the trigger on Tangle and Whisper officially becoming a lesbian couple? Because again, there's so much evidence in the book. The fact that Whisper basically tackles Tangle after she's restored. After she becomes flesh and blood again, from being infected with the metal virus. Just the fact that just the way she embraces her, it's like you couldn't have any more stronger evidence visually than that. So the question obviously is, again, when will they pull the trigger? Are they going to wait till they hit the 50th issue and pull the trigger there? Or are they going to do it in some random issue that we don't expect it to happen in? And you know what? That wouldn't be uncommon for a Sonic comic, to see that occur in. Because, you go back to the Archie book, around issue 40, I think it was 46, 45, 46. It was 46. Nobody saw that being the issue where Bunny confessed her love for Antoine. Where she basically admitted that she found Antoine brave and everything, and basically admitted her love for him. Nobody saw that coming. Especially in that issue. That wasn't advertised until we saw it happen. And that was done by Ken Penders. So who's to say Ian Flynn probably won't pull the same kind of trick, if you will, and take a random issue in the future and pull the trigger for Tangle and Whisper. Because I can tell you honestly, with the popularity these characters have, and heck, I even like them, if you will, and I've read my share of the book so far. Not as much. I still got a lot of catching up to do, just like a lot of fans do, that are finally getting into it and giving it a chance. I've gotten pretty far, though. I've gotten through most of the Metal Virus arc, if you know what I mean. But anyway, to get back on topic, I've become a fan of them, not just by, the comics and the way they present them, but also by the game. I played them in Sonic Forces Speed Battle, and they're great characters. They're great characters, they're fun characters. They got a lot of energy and liveliness to them. To me, they would have been a great addition to the Freedom Fighters in the Archie book, no doubt. I could definitely see Tangle and Whisper being good friends with Sally and Bunny and Nicole, officially in the book, if they would have debuted there. But again, though, like I said, I'm a fan of them, and even I see the evidence there. Even I see all the, evidence, in the book and whatnot that supports this. So the question, again, I know I'm repeating myself here, is when will the trigger be pulled? When will Ian Flynn pull the trigger on officially making these two a couple? And the other question is, does he have the right to do so? Yeah, they're not official game characters. They were in the mobile games, mostly Speed Battle. and that opens the door for other places for them to go. I mean, they got limited edition merchandise on the Sega stores and all that, but the question is, outside of all that, will Sega allow them to pull the trigger? Ian Flynn, Evan Stanley, IDW, will they allow them to pull the trigger on them? To make this a LGBTQ relationship official. We'll have, as I say a lot in my videos, we'll have to wait and see. But again, the evidence is just too great to ignore it, to not pull the trigger, to not follow through on it. Like I say, you see how Whisper reacts to seeing Tangle restored to normal after she was infected with the metal virus. If that doesn't, like I said, if that doesn't show you or give you basically a strong visual hint that, yeah, there is something there between these two that's more than friendship, I don't know what does. I really don't. But what do you guys think? When do you think they will pull the trigger? Because again, with them having their own, and think about it this way too, they had their own miniseries outside of the main book. A lot sooner than a lot of newer characters do, just to get them established. And because they became very popular, obviously, with the fans. And in that book, that relationship got stronger. Just like Spark of Life in Sonic Universe pretty much ignited and made it more evident that Sally and Nicole's relationship was more than just a friendship, if you know what I mean. The Tangle and Whisper miniseries, which you can now get in graphic novel form, did the same thing. So you got to look at all of that. You got to look at that. What took place in that book. You got to look at how Whisper was excitedly happy, emotionally overly happy to see Tangle back to normal after being infected with the virus. So you gotta really think to yourself, or not just think to yourself, but you gotta really think and ask yourself, when will the opportunity become a reality? When will the opportunity that is presented to Ian Flynn, Evan Stanley, IDW, when will that opportunity, when will that opportunity's door, I should say, be opened, and the decision to officially make them a lesbian couple, be stepped through? That's the question. We have to wait and see. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your thoughts are on the live chat during the premiere, as well as in the comments down below. Like the video. When do you think when do you think it'll be pulled officially to make these two a couple? Let me know in the comments, live chat during the premiere, as well as like the video again. And I do apologize if I rambled a little bit and was repetitive. I'm trying to keep an eye on the living room because I'm trying to do this while I have opportunity, if you know what I mean, without interruption. But again, let me know what your thoughts are, and I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. I am out.